Ciao everyone and welcome to the analysis of the song that ranked 12th this year at Sanremo Music Festival 2026. I am talking about Labirinto by Luché. Labirinto as a title, very simple for the translation because it is simply labyrinth. Incredibly. Wow. Concerning the meaning, so as usual, when asked because our artist got asked about their meaning when presenting the song, Luché said, "The labyrinth is a metaphor for some obsessive thoughts, which I also have, especially when you find yourself in a situation that is either toxic or difficult, a situation from which you can find a way out, just like what? A labyrinth." So the idea is that the whole song is a big metaphor. And in fact, it received also a positive critique, so a positive review by Lorenzo Coveri, who in fact graded the song 7 out of 10, which for the average of the festival was quite high, since the highest review grade that 3 singers out of 30 managed to get was 7.80, so 7 given the average is quite high. But why specifically? Lorenzo Coveri said, "For the rap quota, because Luché is a rapper from Naples, Sanremo features the highly followed over 3 million downloads on Spotify, an all-time record, even more than Fedez among all the festival's participants, so the most socially loved. Luca Imprudente, 45 Naples, who in his song Labirinto, a word used 7 times at Sanremo but never before in a title, so we find it in other lyrics but never in titles, is accompanied by the expert Davide Tropico Petrella and producer Stefano Zef Tognini. Luché also speaks of love, because, as we said, love is very common as a theme in Sanremo songs, of a love gone wrong, leaving behind ruins and memories. But he does it in his own way, in a deluge of words, some intense, unfold in long bars, not without, as is often the case, reference to the singer-songwriter and traditional music. So, despite being rap, he is also presenting some traditional characteristics. We will see. The use of rhymes, often with ironic effects, Hairumi is one of the ingredients of rap language, but also of the old-fashioned song. So, of course, he's using a type of rhyme that is typical of at least Italian rap, and these characteristics is shared also with Italian traditional music. We're going to see that specifically we're talking about rhymes among monosyllables. So, a curiosity here too, as in the Fedez Masini song, the ego is evoked, which appears in only one other song from 2021. So generally the ego, the psychological Freudian ego, is not very mentioned. This year it was very popular apparently. So it is what it is. But hey, let's see these lyrics, no? Shall we? We start with a verse composed by very long bars. Io non so come ci si lega, ma so bene quanto vale un contratto. Nulla è per sempre, nel rimorso l'odio annega, potevamo rimanere in contatto. E invece niente, siamo polvere sui mobili dentro una casa vuota. L'orgoglio è un brutto vizio ed io il bambino che ci gioca. Mai stato troppo in alto, mai caduto nella droga, la notte è nera asfalto, aspetto l'alba che mi trova. Now, here we have the great assistance of Rumi. Thank you, Rui. So, for the translation, I don't know how to bond, but I know well how much a contract is worth. Nothing is forever. Hatred drowns in remorse. We could have stayed in touch, but instead, nothing. We are dust on the furniture inside an empty house. Pride is a bad habit, and I'm the child who plays with it. Never been too high, never fallen into drugs. The night is black asphalt, I wait for the dawn that finds me. Now, here there is a lot to unpack. First thing first. Non so come ci si lega, ma so bene quanto vale un contratto. Now, we talked a lot, even in the past, about the difference between the indicative mood and the subjunctive mood. I will never stop repeating this. The subjunctive is the mood of uncertainty. The indicative is the mood of certainty. So, here, non so come is a construction, I don't know how, that can be followed by both the indicative and the subjunctive. Now, here we have the indicative. Non so come ci si lega. If we had subjunctive would be io non so come ci si leghi. Both are valid. Why? Because it changes the meaning. Non so come ci si leghi is because grammatically speaking, syntactically speaking, we can have the subjunctive. If we use the indicative, however, which can be correct, is because we want to highlight, we want to stress the fact that it is a certainty. I don't know, I am certain that I don't know how to bond. So there is an issue in creating links with other people. Long-term relationship, if we will. There is a conflict, there is a struggle with commitment. However, I also know how much a contract is worth. Here probably the meaning would be I am not capable of doing that, so to commit, but ideally I understand it. So I know the theory, I don't know the practice, and this is related to the fact that we are talking about a relationship which ended. Why? Because there is probably, given what he's saying, given how he's starting the song, that there is a commitment issue. Now, further on, he will say that he agrees with the partner leaving because he's probably aware of his struggle. So probably the meaning behind this bar, behind this line, is that he is not able to commit, but he understands how important commitment is. So he recognizes that it's better for this relationship to end. This is how I'm seeing this. Nulla è per sempre, nel rimorso l'odio annega, potevamo rimanere in contatto. Now here it is basically three different lines, three different phrases, sentences. Nulla è per sempre, nothing is forever. Ok. Nel rimorso l'odio annega. The hatred drowns in remorse. So we have hate and we have remorse. Here we can imagine them as feeling related to each other, or we can see them while I am in a relationship where there is struggle, I feel hate, but after it ends, the remorse takes the place of hate, which is how can I say? It is very plausible, ok? It is realistic, this switch in emotions. Potevamo rimanere in contatto. Now, here we have an imperfect, because this is a imperfetto, a past tense, an Italian past tense, which is the colloquial version, because here normally the technically correct version would be saremmo potuti rimanere in contatto. So with the condizionale. Conditional, I don't remember how this mood is called in English because there isn't a perfect equivalent. Oops. So here we have a colloquialism, which makes sense because this is fundamentally rap. So we expect colloquial terms, but there is a good mix of colloquial and non-colloquial tone of voice type of speech. Now, saremmo potuti rimanere in contatto. It is the technically correct version. Potevamo rimanere in contatto. It is the most used formula when you are speaking colloquially and informally, okay? Here, another little nuance, if you will. In English you say stay in touch. Touch in Italian is tocco, so like when you touch something. The Italian version, it is very similar meaning-wise, because it's not the touch, but it is the contact. So it's still similar from a certain point of view because it's like to stay in contact, which you can also say in English. But in Italian you can say rimanere in tocco, okay, which is tocco is touch. There is this little nuance of shift, which is a bit interesting. In English you can do the Italian version, but you cannot do the reverse. And then we have e invece niente. In Italian is very used in colloquial language, e niente, e invece niente is like whatever. It's like when in English you say whatever e niente. And in fact here, but instead nothing is like whatever, doesn't matter. Now we are dust on the furniture inside an empty house. So this is the image depicting what's left of the relationship. Why this relationship ended? Because of commitment issues probably, but also because of pride, because he says l'orgoglio è un brutto vizio ed io il bambino che ci gioca. Pride is a bad habit and I'm the child who plays with it. So he recognizes that his behavior is infantile, is childish. Mai stato troppo in alto, mai caduto nella droga. Here is funny because the English translation is a better play on words. Because in Italian when you say mai stato troppo in alto, mai caduto nella droga, the difference is between being on the high ground and falling, okay? But in English, if you say never been too high, never fallen into drugs, would be even a better play on words because in English you can say being high as being intoxicated due to intoxicating substances, okay? In Italian doesn't work like that because essere in alto, to be high, it doesn't mean that. So it's funny to me that in English hits more than the original version. La notte nell'asfalto, aspetto l'alba che mi trova. Again, we have an indicative instead a subjunctive because ideally it would be la notte è nell'asfalto, aspetto l'alba che mi trovi. Aspetto che mi trovi l'alba. I wait for the dawn to find me. Here there is an inversion and there is a change in the mood because we need it for the rhyme, because we have contratto, contatto, vuota, gioca, droga, trova. So we have these rhymes. With the trovi, the rhyme wouldn't be there, so understandable. Then we have the pre-chorus. Un po' di luce, adesso che non riesco più ad immaginarti, e non ho voce nemmeno per gridare che lo so che parti. A little light, because we were talking about the dawn coming in the darkness. Now that I can no longer imagine you, and I have no voice, not even to shout, not even to scream, that I know you are leaving. Now here we have an alternance between short and long lines, because we have un po' di luce, short, adesso che non riesco più ad immaginarti, long, e non ho voce, short, nemmeno per gridare che lo so che parti, long. And then we have more homogeneous, solo per stare lontano via da me, stai meglio lontano, via da me. Non abbiamo più scuse, quanto ci vuole per dimenticarsi? Just to stay away, away from me. You're better off away, away from me. We have no more excuses. How long does it take to forget each other? Now, again, it's because the relationship didn't end in the best of terms. And here we have a repetition with a variation solo per stare lontano via da me, stai meglio lontano via da me, just to stay away, away from me. You're better off away, away from me. And here we have what I was explaining at the beginning, that there is a struggle, but there is also awareness concerning the fact that there is a struggle. So I have pride issues, this relationship didn't work probably because of commitment issues, and I am aware of it. In fact, I acknowledge that you are better off away, away from me. And then we have the chorus, again split into parts. E quello che so di te è che sei bella come una bugia, detta per non piangere, non piangere. And what I know about you is that you are beautiful as a lie said not to cry, don't cry, or not to cry again, because it's just the repetition of non piangere, which in Italian can have different syntactical meanings, because it can be detta per non piangere, said not to cry, non piangere, don't cry, because it is also the imperative. Okay. And then we have non dormirò più tra le braccia tue. I'll never sleep in your arms again. In questo labirinto siamo in due. In this labyrinth there are two of us. E quello che so di te nasconde un po' di me. And what I know about you hides a little bit of me. Here we have, syntactically speaking, an inversion, because in Italian normally would be non dormirò più tra le tue braccia, not tra le braccia tue. So here is to rhyme, because again we have e quello che so di te è che sei bella come una bugia detta per non piangere, non piangere. And then we go back to the rhymes, non dormirò più tra le braccia tue, in questo labirinto siamo in due, e quello che so di te nasconde un po' di me. And here we have examples of the rhyming between monosyllables, like I was saying before. And yeah, here we have the idea that we have this labyrinth where both the people in the relationship are stuck in, and what I know about you hides a little bit of me. So there is like the fact that I like you tells something about myself, tells me something about myself, which is a very good point. Then we have the post-chorus. Anche se poi te ne vai, non ti scordare di me, di me, di noi, di noi. Even if you leave, don't forget about me or of us, or about us, of us. So we have di me 2 times and di noi 2 times, so pretty much balanced. And this section in the post-chorus is repeated a second time, so it is the repetition of this section 2 times. And so like there is this part about the relationship, so the fact that the relationship has ended, is being accepted with only one condition, basically, only one request that is left. So it's okay if the relationship has ended, just don't forget about it, which is like reasonable, okay. And then we have the second verse. Non conta l'ego, contano i concetti, nessuno l'ha capito, competiamo con noi stessi. Forse più salgo in alto, più non vedo i miei difetti, quando non so chi sono, me lo urlano ai concerti. The ego doesn't matter, the concepts do. And here the ego mentioned, as I said before. No one understood it. What? That we compete with ourselves. Maybe the higher I climb, the less I see my flaws. When I don't know who I am, they, so like as in the audience, shouted at me at the concerts. Di crisi già ne ho avute. L'inverno con le tute, le corse e le cadute, scontrarsi a mani nude, mentre gli altri giocano, io mi distinguo tra i pochi che osano e troverò. So there is a little bit this bridge at the end. I've had crises before, the winter in tracksuits, the races and the falls, fighting with bare hands, while the others play, I stand out among the few who dare, and I will find. And here, like, we have a lot of rhymes. And I will find, and it repeats the pre-chorus exactly as it was before. Same thing again for the chorus, which follows, and the post-chorus. They are all the same as before. And then we have a bridge that will lead to the end of the song. Le chiavi dell'uscita le ho messe nelle mani tue, ma in questo labirinto siamo in due, siamo in due. The keys to the exit, I place them in your hands, but in this labyrinth there are two of us. There are two of us. Now, what is here the problem? The problem is that he gave the solution to the problem to the other person. But the problem is that the other person is lost as well in the labyrinth, and so they are both stuck. This is probably a reference to the fact that the other person is stuck in the struggle of the post-relationship as well and cannot really move on as it should be. And here we have another inversion because to rhyme, like before, instead of le ho messe, so like ho messo, synthetically speaking, linearly, it would be ho messo le chiavi dell'uscita nelle tue mani. Instead, we have le chiavi dell'uscita, a repetition, le ho messe nelle mani tue. And of course, this is because of rhythm necessities and rhyming necessities. And at the end, the song ends with a little variation of the post-chorus. Why? Because we have anche se poi te ne vai, non ti scordare di me, di noi. Even if you leave, don't forget about me, about us, about us. And if you remember, this first part is repeated just the same again. Here, however, when the song ends, there is one little thing missing. Instead of being di me, di noi, repeated 2 times, the second us is missing, probably implying the idea that the us is fading, and so we are already missing a little piece. And that was the lyrics of the song. What can we say more about the song? Not much was said because the idea is quite linear. It is a love song of a relationship which didn't end well, and it had ended because of commitment issues, because of the inability to properly bond, because of pride of at least one of the two lovers. But, and you might say, oh, well, of course it was a love song because Sanremo is full of love songs. However, he said one of the reasons why it wasn't as hard to send this song is because this song was made before. So after finishing the previous album, Luché went back to work and created this track. Then said, okay, you know what? I can see this song fitting well in Sanremo Music Festival, and so he submitted this song. But despite being a love song, it wasn't made specifically for Sanremo. Probably they decided to send to Sanremo a love song because the classic song of Sanremo is in fact a love song. But at least the song wasn't made specifically for Sanremo. Was made and then they thought it was fitting the criteria and the vibe of Sanremo Music Festival. Now, I do agree with the positive review of the song, generally speaking, but what I don't agree with is the double standard of certain songs. I'm not saying that this song is bad. I'm just saying that if other songs were criticized for talking about love and thus they received lower grades and worse reviews, why this one should be as different? Because I get it. It's not the classical love song, which is either like, oh my god, I'm so much in love with someone, I want to get with them. Oh my god, I'm so much in love with someone, I want to stay with them. Oh my god, I'm so much in love with my ex, I want to go get back with them. It is the relationship has ended, and the only thing that I am hoping for is at least for the memory of it to stay, which is of course a different perspective. But again, still a love song. If we go to criticize love songs, no matter the perspective, then in this case there is no reason to prize it as much, because good song but still a love song. So we have to decide. It's either a problem in general to have love songs at Sanremo Music Festival because it's nothing new, or we keep into consideration the context and we don't care if a song is a love song as long as the song is good. But using two different measurements and judging differently songs belonging to the same genre, basically, it doesn't make much sense. Also, what I didn't appreciate is that other singers, incredibly so, however, younger, because it's always like that, were criticized because they struggle since they had too many things to say and struggle with putting everything in the song. Again, it's either we criticize all of them or we don't. We have to pick one, but there is no reason why Luché was said to be perfect while other singer younger than him received the criticisms. Because Luché, probably because he was because he's a human being, because there is still the thrill, because there is pressure, because you are presenting for the first time one of your songs to your audience and generally to the audience of whole Italy. And he was like, at least to me, the song sounds a bit off. This, however, also in the recording, because he feels like he wants to say a lot of things and he struggles to fit it in the beat. So the song feels a little bit offbeat. There are many things being said in the verses, not as many in the pre-chorus, chorus, and post-chorus. And there is this unbalance because there is a clear struggle in fitting everything in the beat of the verse. So, again, we either criticize this for everybody or we don't. But there is no point in criticizing this when a younger artist does it and then ignoring it when a more mature and older artist does the same. Because, again, there is no point in judging given different judgment for the same thing just because of the age of the artist, as in like, oh, after a certain point the artist does good no matter what. Is not very fair, let's put it like that. Also, like, there was a little bit of criticism because he got criticized for not being rap enough, but this is not really a criticism because he simply said, well, I am polyedric. It's normal that my songs sound differently because I am evolving and trying different things. So for me, for example, this wasn't a problem. For me, the main problem was again that the song sounded a bit offbeat in the verses because there were many things that had to be said and there was a little bit of struggle. Also, probably because, again, we are talking about human beings, so being emotional is part of the package. So, again, it's not a criticism per se, it's just an observation. That's it. Well, that said, there isn't much more to add. It is quite of a linear song. You can agree with it or not, you can like it or not, it depends on the genre you like. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about Labirinto by Luché. That said, I hope you enjoyed. Grazie everyone for watching and arrivederci.